will continue with solution. We will continue with solution. We saw some example for heterogeneous mixture, and the normal snacks, the normal mixture snacks that we eat, that is an example for heterogeneous mixture. Okay, we can see separately the groundnuts, the corn, and everything. Okay, sugar solution is a good example for homogeneous mixture. The normal snacks mixture, that's a good example for heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so I told you yesterday, in our book we are going to study three things particularly. One is about solution, another one, there are two examples for heterogeneous mixture given. One is called suspension and another one is called colloids. Yesterday our class unfortunately ended due to network problem. Today we will continue from that. We will study in detail what is a solution, what is a suspension, and what is a colloid. Okay, so I have examples for all the three. First we will study with what is a solution. Okay, I hope you are ready. Are you ready? Let us study what is solution. Okay. So listen carefully. This is a solution, sugar solution. How it is made? I have some amount of sugar here. So some amount of sugar. The sugar, I added the sugar with water. I added the sugar with water. Sugar mixed with water to form sugar solution. So here minimum two things are required. Sugar is required and another one, water is required. Sugar and water mixed to form sugar solution. Okay, so normally a solution, a true solution is always a homogeneous mixture. Why? Because the solute particles are uniformly distributed. That is, the top level also have same property, middle also have same property, bottom level also have same property. Understood or not? Okay, so listen. Now it is made up of two things. One is sugar, another one is water. That is, the sugar get dissolved in the water. So the two particles, one's name is called solute, another one name is called solvent. Solute, I will type that S-O-L-U-T-E, solute and solvent. So a solution is made up of minimum two things, that is, one is solute and another one is solvent. So here sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. So understand clearly, here this one, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. Okay, so if you are facing your network problem, please refresh it, and this video will be here only, you can see it later also, don't worry. So what is a solute and what is a solvent? See here, sugar get dissolved in water. The particle which get dissolved is called solute. Again I say, Ankita, okay, the particle which get dissolved, that is called as solute. And what is a solvent? The substance which dissolve the solute, that is called solvent. So solute means the thing that get dissolved. Solvent means the thing which dissolve the solute. Understood or not? So normally in a solution, solvent quantity will be more and solute quantity will be less. For example, I took 1 glass of water but only little amount of sugar. Understood or not? Generally in a solution, solvents quantity will be more and solutes quantity will be less. Understood or not? Okay. Okay. So now, is it clear? Okay. So again I say, a solution is made up of, okay, I repeat, Pratyush Kumar, I'll repeat. A solution is made up of two substances. One is a solute, a solution is made up of two substance. One is a solute and another one is a solvent. Okay. So for example, this is sugar solution. It is made up of sugar and water. So here sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. Sugar is here, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. Why it is named as solute means the sugar usually get dissolved in water. So the thing which get dissolved, that is called as solute. And the thing which dissolves the solute, that is called as solvent. Is it clear now? So usually solvent's quantity will be more and the solute's quantity will be less. Okay. So now listen carefully. We saw here the solute was sugar, that is the solute was a solid and the solvent was a liquid. So normally on normal example we had solute as solid and solvent as water, that is liquid. But not only that, you may admire there are some solid solution also. Solid solution means solute is a solid, solvent is also a solid. Solute is a solid, solvent is also a solid. Can you give some example for that? I am asking you a question. Can you give some example or one example for solid solution? That is, solute is also a solid, solvent is also a solid. Can you give an example? Salt and sugar. Salt and sugar, not a homogeneous mixture. We are studying about homogeneous mixture solution. Okay. Salt and sugar are heterogeneous mixture. Any other example? Solid solution. Solid homogeneous mixture. Okay, I will tell. We are wearing gold, isn't it? We are wearing gold. Usually girls wear, boys may also wear some gold ring or gold chain. So gold that we wear is not a pure gold. Pure gold is 24 karat gold. Pure gold is very soft. Pure gold is not useful for making jewels or ornament. So what they will do? They will mix gold with copper. For example, 22 karat gold means 22 parts gold, remaining totally 24 parts. 22 parts gold, remaining 2 parts copper. Okay, so this is called as alloy. This is called as alloy. Alloy is a mixture of 2 or more metals. Okay, or sometimes even a metal and a non-metal. Okay, this is called as alloy. A mixture of 2 or more metals or a metal and a non-metal, this is called alloy. Alloy is a homogeneous mixture. It is an example for solid solution. Okay. If you don't understand, I will explain how they will form the solid solution. For example, gold is there, copper is there. Okay. So listen, when you heat gold to a very high temperature, the gold will melt. The gold will melt. That is, it will be converted from solid state to liquid state. Similarly, the copper also, when you heat it to very high temperature, it will start melting. Now you will get molten gold and molten copper. Okay, it is not alloyed, it is alloy. ALLOY. So listen carefully. The molten gold is there and the molten copper is there. Now you can mix both. Understood or not? Now you can mix both. When you cool it, again it will solidify. This is how a solid solution is formed. Understood or not? First you will heat the metal and the metal will melt. It will be converted into molten form. In molten form, you can easily add 2 or more metals together. This is called as alloy. ALLOY. Is it clear? Okay. 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 But one thing in alloy, regarding alloy, I want to tell one point. You cannot separate alloy again by physical method. Please listen carefully. I already told you the difference between compounds and mixture. Uh, Mixtures can be separated by physical method, okay? But compounds cannot be separated by physical method. But in alloy, one small question is that in alloy is considered as a homogeneous mixture. Please listen carefully. Please listen carefully. Alloy is considered as a homogeneous mixture. Why it is not considered as a compound? That's a question. Because alloy also cannot be separated by physical method. Understood or not? Alloys cannot be separated. For example, you are mixing gold and copper. You cannot separate gold and copper again by physical method. Even then, why we are calling it as mixture? Okay, that's the question. Why? Because these alloys may have different composition. They are not uniform. Different composition means sometimes 22 part gold, 2 part copper. Sometimes 20 part gold, 4 parts copper. The constitution, the composition ratio will change. Okay, that's one of the reason. And one more thing, usually the compounds, please listen carefully, the another difference between compound and mixture, usually the compounds will not show the character of the constituents. Constituent means, I will say, water is a compound. Water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen has one character, oxygen has one character. For example, hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas. But when they both react to form a compound, water is not a gas. Water is a liquid. That is, compounds will not show the character of the constituents. Constituent means based on which it is formed. For example, the constitution of water, the constituent of water is oxygen and hydrogen. Understood or not? Again I say, compounds will not reflect the character of their components or its constituents. But mixture will always reflect the character. For example, a very good example for mixture is Moody mixture. Okay, you all are familiar with Moody mixture, isn't it? In Moody mixture, what are they? Moody is there, mixture is there, and some masalas are there, onions are there, everything. Okay, so how the taste of the Moody mixture will be? The taste of the Moody mixture has everything. The taste of Moody is there, the taste of mixture is there, the taste of masala is there, the taste of onion is there, everything is there. Understood or not? So mixture will show the character of the constituents, but compound will not show the character of the constituents. This is second point. Understood or not? First point, mixture can be separated by the physical method. Compounds cannot be separated by the physical method. The second point, mixture will show the characteristic or the characters of its constituents, but compounds will not show the characteristics of its constituents. But now the question is, why alloy is not called as a compound and is a mixture means? The answer is this only. Alloys will show the character of its constituent and they are not of uniform composition. The percentage may differ. Because of this reason, okay, welcome. Those who join new, welcome. Now please listen, we are studying about solution and we saw an example. A good example for solution is sugar solution. And I told you there are some different solutions. Solid solutions also there. Example is alloy. In gold alloy, one question to you. One question, please listen carefully. Gold alloy is an example for solid solution. It is made up of gold and copper. Tell me, in gold alloy, that is in gold and copper alloy, which one will you call as solute and which one is solvent? It's a question for you. In gold alloy, which one will you say as solvent and which one will you say as solute? Okay, you have to answer. Tell me, I'm waiting for your answer. Gold is solvent. Is it correct? Every student can comment. The class should be interactive. Okay, gold is solvent, copper is solute. How can you say? This answer is correct. Gold is solvent, copper is solute. But can you say the reason, give reason? Can you justify your answer? Can you justify your answer? My question, your answer is correct, okay? Gold is the solvent and copper is the solute. But how can you say that? Justify your answer, please. How can you say this? How can you say that gold is the solvent? Yeah. Very good, very good. Anshuman, because here the gold is, the quantity of gold is more, 22 carat, and the quantity of copper is less. I already told you, solute will be more in quantity usually, sorry, solvent will be more in quantity usually, and solute will be less in quantity. So the answer is gold is the solvent and copper is the solute here. Okay. Now another question. There are some other type of solution, gas solution. We saw about solid solution, and there are some gas solution. Can you give example? Gas solution. That is, solute is a gas, solvent is also a gas. Can you give an example? A common, easy example for gas solution. Water. Hello. Water is not a solution. Water is a compound. Water is a pure substance. Water is not a mixture. Sorry. You are again confusing. Water is a compound. H2O is a compound. Carbon dioxide is a compound. You cannot bring them under mixture. Okay, one answer is there. Dinesh Tiwari, atmosphere, that is air. Very good. The answer is air. Atmospheric air is the answer. Air is the mixture of gases. Air is an example for homogeneous solution. For example, in the air, nitrogen is present, oxygen is also present, many gases are present. The answer is air, atmospheric air. Understood? For example, in air, what is there? Mainly nitrogen is there, 78 nearly, isn't it? A more percentage, 78, 79 percentage, and oxygen almost 20 percentage. So you can consider the mixture of nitrogen and oxygen is an homogeneous mixture. Understood or not? Okay. Is it clear or not? So air is also an example for solution. Air is a gas solution. Okay. So in air, nitrogen is considered as a solvent and other gas may be considered as a solute. Is it clear? Okay. 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 We already saw an example. Sugar solution. In sugar solution, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. In sugar solution, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. Okay. Ask more question. You used to drink cool drinks, isn't it? Soft drinks. Mirinda, Fanta, Thumbs Up, Coca-Cola, Sprite. Okay. So these things are there. So my question, you know cold drinks, that is soft drinks. In soft drinks, can you tell, is it a solution? If you take soft drink as a solution, then which one will you say as solvent, which one will you say as solute? My question. Okay, Sprite, Thumbs Up, water, whatever it may be. They will call it as aerated drinks. Aerated drinks. In aerated drinks, which one will you say as a solvent and which one is a solute? Aerated. I'm giving you the clue. Aerated drinks. Yeah, it's a solution, but in aerated rings, which one will you say as a solute and which one is a solution? Okay, I have given you the clue aerated. Aerated means the drinks is filled with some gas. Yeah, very good, Dinesh Tiwari again. You know, the soft drinks are usually filled with carbon dioxide. You can say the example, if you shake the bottle and suddenly open, the carbon dioxide will splash out. Yes or no? Okay, therefore, the carbon dioxide present inside the aerated drinks, that is the solute, and the remaining the drinks is the solvent. In the drinks, in aerated drinks, carbon dioxide is dissolved in the drink. Okay, so carbon dioxide is the solute here, and the drinks is the solvent. So this is a gas liquid solution. Okay, gas, carbon dioxide, gas is a solute and liquid is a solvent. Okay, very good. And one more example. Yeah, one more example is given in your book. Okay, there is a thing called tincture. Tincture means you will use it for any injuries. Okay, iodine tincture. Okay, you would have used it. You are using it. Okay, if you get any injury, you may apply some medicine. Okay, in that medicine there is a type called tincture. Okay, in tincture what is present? Iodine and alcohol is present. Tincture is a solution of iodine and alcohol. Okay, so this is an example. Please, you should know it. Okay, tincture. Okay, tincture is an example for an solution. It is made up of iodine and alcohol. Can you tell which one is the solute and which one is the solvent here? Please guess. I am typing the spelling for tincture. I have typed the spelling for tincture, T-I-N-C-T-U-R-E. Yeah, it's there. Please check. Iodine tincture. Okay. Which one is a solid? So iodine is a solid. Alcohol is a. Okay, hello. Okay. Iodine is the solute here, and alcohol is the solvent. Iodine is a solid, and alcohol is a liquid. Okay. Okay. I hope now you are pretty clear with solution. Okay, so now let us go to another question. Properties of a solution. Okay, properties of solution. So this is an example for solution, sugar solution. Properties. Okay, so first property we already know, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. It's an important 3-mark question. Please listen carefully. Okay. So please listen carefully. I already told the answer. In tincture, iodine is a solute and alcohol was the solvent. That's clear. Now we are going to the next question. Properties of a solution. Okay, please listen carefully. The properties of solution. The first property is an important 3-mark question. Important 3-mark question. First one, please listen carefully. First one, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. Okay. Then second one, see here. See here. Can you see the sugar particles here? Can you see the sugar particles here? Whether the particles are visible? Whether the particles are visible? Sugar particles. Are they visible to our naked eye? No, isn't it? No, you cannot see the particles. So the second point is the particles of a solution are very, very small. They are not visible to our naked eye. They are of the size nanometer. Nanometer means 10 power minus 9 meter, or 1 divided by 10 power 9 meter. Okay, that is called nanometer. So the particles of the solution are very, very, very small, of the size nanometer. so they are not visible to our naked eye. So they are not visible to our naked. Okay, nanometer, 1 nanometer means 10 power minus 9 meter. Okay. Okay. So now, another point, the particles are very, very small. Therefore, the particle cannot scatter light. For example, if you pass light to pass through a solution, okay, the particles are very, very small, so they cannot scatter the light. Therefore, you cannot see the path of the light. You cannot see the path of the light. I will tell you clearly. You are focusing light somewhere. Okay, you are focusing light. Sometimes we could see the path of the light. Okay, when will you see the path of the light? When will you see the path of the light? Means when there are more particles are there, more dust are there, the particles will reflect, that particle will scatter the light. Whenever any particles or some particles scatter the light, then only you can see the path of the light. I will give you an example. In the early morning, during sunrise, when you open your house window, through the window the sun rays will come. At that time you can see the sun ray, you can see the light ray. Okay, in the light ray you will see many dust particles flying here and there. In the light ray you will see many dust particles flying here and there. The dust particles scatter the light. Because of that only you are able to see the light. Understood? So, but here, listen, yeah, that is called Tyndall effect. Very good. We will study that later. But now I am coming to the point. So these particles, the sugar particles here, the solution particles are very, very, very small. So they cannot scatter the light. Since they cannot scatter the light properly, you cannot see the path of the light. So you should remember one thing. Only when the particles are big enough to scatter the light, then the path of the light will be visible to your eye. Otherwise, the path of the light will not be visible. So, in a solution, the path of the light will not be visible. So, first point, it is a homogeneous mixture. Second point, the particles are very, very small. They are not visible to our naked eye. Third point, since the particles are very small, they cannot scatter light. Therefore, the path of the light is not visible. Understood? Okay. Now, another one. So, fourth point, can you separate sugar and water by using any filter, any filtration method? Okay, that's not a question, Mr. Tiwari, whoever it may be. Maybe some from my channel also. Let it be. So the question is, can you separate sugar from sugar solution by using any filter? By any filter? Yes? Is it possible? So in the sugar solution, sugar is well mixed with the water. Can you separate sugar by using any filtration method? Yeah, they cannot be separated because sugar is mixed well. Sugar is very, very, very fine now. Even when I forgot to take the filter. Even when you pour it to any filter, you cannot filter it. Therefore, they cannot be solute particles cannot be separated by filtration method. Okay, the fourth point, they cannot be the solute particles cannot be separated by filtration method. Then another one point is there. So whether the solution is stable or not. Stable means I am keeping this sugar solution for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, whether all the sugar particle will settle down or not. After 5 minutes, whether the sugar particles will settle down or not. The question. No, never. They will never settle down. It means the solution is stable. Solution is stable. It will always be the same. After 1 hour also, it will look like this only. After 2 hours also, it will look like this only. This means solution is stable. So we have studied 5 points. One is solution is a homogeneous mixture. Second point, The particles are very, very small, of the order 1 nanometer, so they are not visible to our naked eye. Number 3, the particles are very small, so they cannot scatter light. Therefore, you cannot see the path of the light through a solution. Number 4, the solute particles cannot be separated by any filtration method. Number 5, the solution is stable. The solute particle will not settle down. They will not come down. Therefore, solution is highly stable. Even if you leave it undisturbed, the solute particles will about solution. So now remaining two things, I think we can see that I told you we will see suspension and colloids. Okay, so suspension and colloids both are example for heterogeneous mixture. Solution example for homogeneous mixture. Now we are going to see suspension and colloids. Okay, so a very good example for suspension is chalk solution. A very good example for suspension is chalk solution. I have chalk, now I am powdering it. Okay, now I am powdering it and I am trying to put it in a tumbler. Okay, now I am powdering the chalk. So chalk solution is a very good example for suspension. So evaporation, we are not talking about evaporation here. We are just, when we leave the solution undisturbed, the sugar cannot settle down. That is why it is stable. Okay, so now we are going to study about suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. A good example for suspension is chalk solution or sand in water. When you mix sand and water, then that is an example for suspension. Okay, so chalk is very well known example for us. So now I am going to prepare a chalk solution. So I am powdering it. I am powdering the chalk. Then I will add the water. It's an example for suspension. Okay, the suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. In suspension, the solute particles will not dissolve properly. So see here the chalk particles are there, down, chalk particles are there. So now I am going to pour some water. Okay. Okay, here it is. So this is a chalk solution. That is suspension. Okay. You can also prepare this. If you don't have chalk, you can use salt. You can use soil or sand. You can use sand. Sand in water also example for suspension. Okay. So first I will tell you why it is called suspension. Okay. Why it is called suspension? You can see here the particles will not dissolve properly, but it will be suspending, it will be floating in the water. It will be floating. It will be suspending. So it is called as suspension. Okay. So a chalk solution is a very good example for suspension. Here the particles will not dissolve completely, will not dissolve properly, but it will be suspending or it will be floating in the water. So it is called as suspension. Suspension is an example for heterogeneous mixture. Salt solution is a homogeneous solution. Okay, please be clear. Salt solution now. Soil, sand solution. Okay, not salt, soil or sand. Okay, but we are discussing about chalk solution. Okay, now I am just leaving it undisturbed. Okay, we want to check whether this solution is stable or not. So I am leaving it undisturbed. I will see it after 2 minutes, after a few minutes. Okay, now I hope you understood clearly what is suspension. In suspension, the particles will not dissolve completely, but it will be floating, it will be suspending. Okay, so it is called as suspension. So we can clearly distinguish, we can see the chalk particles and we can see the water separately. We can identify, we can distinguish. So it is an example for heterogeneous mixture because the composition is not uniform. Chalk particles are not uniformly distributed. Okay, so what are the properties? Another important question. Now directly go to the properties. What are the properties? Number one, is it homogeneous or heterogeneous? Is it homogeneous or heterogeneous? Waiting for your comment. First point, whether the chalk particle is homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous. Homogeneous. The question is, suspension is a homogeneous mixture or heterogeneous mixture? Waiting for your comment. Two are commenting homogeneous and two have commented heterogeneous. Okay, so the correct answer is heterogeneous. I already told you because you can easily identify the difference. So you can easily separate the chalk particles and the water. You can easily identify it. Okay, therefore the answer is heterogeneous. HET, not HED, HET. HET or OGENEOUS. Heterogeneous. Okay, now second point. Are they visible? Whether the particles are visible to our eye or not? Whether the particles visible to our eye? Yes, the particles are visible to our eye. So second point, the particles of the suspension can be seen by the naked eye. So the second point, the particles of the suspension can be seen by our naked eye. Okay. Okay, visible to our naked eye. Now, very good. Then, third point, so the particles are visible means the particles are big enough. Therefore, the particles are big enough to scatter the light. When they scatter the light, the path of the light will be visible in suspension. Okay, so the third point, the particles of suspension are big in size. They are big enough to scatter the light. Therefore, when you pass light in the suspension, the path of the light is visible. The path of the light is visible in a suspension. Okay, so third point over. Fourth point, suspension is stable or unstable. So now I have left it undisturbed. Now you decide. Now you see and tell, is it stable or unstable? Is it uniform? Or in the bottom more chalk is there, in the top less chalk is there. Is it uniform or not? Is it stable? Stable. You can see here in the bottom the chalk gets settled down. Can you see that? Most of the chalk particles are settled down at the bottom, which means they are unstable. They are unstable. Only when you rinse it, okay, only when you shake it, it appears to be stable. It appears like a colloid. It appears like a milk. When you shake it, it appears like a milk. But when you leave it undisturbed, the chalk particle settle down. The solution is stable, but the chalk solution is unstable. Is it clear? Okay. Then, can you separate it by filtration? Can you separate the chalk particle by filtration? Can you separate it by filtration? Yes, you can separate it by filtration. You can now itself the chalk particles are settled down. Okay, now if you filter it, the remaining chalk particle will be there, they can by filtration. They can be separated by filtration. So the five properties. Number one, it is heterogeneous. Number two, the particles are big enough, they are big and they are visible to our eye. Number three, they are big enough, the particles are big enough to scatter the light, so the path of the light is visible. Number four, they are unstable. The particles settle down when you left it undisturbed. And number five, the particles can be separated by filtration method. They can be separated. Sagar, right, is not homogeneous, it is heterogeneous. Solution is homogeneous, but suspension and colloids are heterogeneous. Okay, listen. Okay, listen carefully. Last one point I am going to tell. Now you see here. Now the particle, most of the particles settle down. Na? Once the particles settle down, now it cannot scatter the light. Only when the particles are suspending, at that time it can scatter light and the path of the light is visible. Once all the particles settle down, the solution becomes unstable. At that time, it cannot scatter the light and the path of the light is not visible. Hydro, knowing it is hetero. Okay, hetero means different. H-E-T-E-R-O. Hetero, H-E-T-E-R-O. Hetero means different. Homo means same. Hetero means different. Okay, that's all about suspension. Now let us study the another one type of solution called as colloids. Okay, I am preparing colloid solution. A good example for colloidal solution is milk solution. When you mix milk with water, that's an example for colloidal solution. Colloid, C-O-L-L-O-I-D-S. Colloids are colloidal solution. Here colloidal solution, milk mixed with water. This here colloidal solution, milk mixed with water. From where you are? Okay, I am teaching science and math in IMST school, Malkangiri, Odisha. Odisha, Malkangiri. I am basically from Tamil Nadu. Okay. Okay, listen students. This is an example for a colloidal solution. Milk and water. Milk and water. Okay. Now listen carefully. This colloidal solution appears to be a homogeneous solution. When you see that, it looks like a homogeneous solution, but it is not uniformly distributed. It is not uniformly distributed, and so it comes under heterogeneous mixture. Okay. The particles are very, very small. When you compare in suspension, you could see the particles with your naked eye, but in colloids, you cannot see the particles separately with your naked eye. Even then, they are not uniformly distributed. Therefore, they come under heterogeneous solution. Understood? So, another 5 or 10 minutes, we will finish the class. So, please listen carefully. Colloids appears to be, it look like a homogeneous solution, but it is not homogeneous mixture. It is a heterogeneous mixture because the components are not uniformly distributed and the particles are smaller in size. So what about its property? A very, very good property or an important property expressed by colloid is an important property expressed by colloid is they support Tyndall effect. They show Tyndall effect. Now I'll tell what is Tyndall effect. We already discussed when the particles of a solution scatter the light, or when some particles scatter light, due to that the path of the light is visible to our eye. This is called as Tyndall effect. I already told you an example. When you open your window during sunrise, in the morning, you can see the sun rays. You can see the sun rays coming inside. You will see a lot of dust particle flying. Similarly, when you go to a forest, in forest more trees will be there, canopy. The trees canopy will be there. Wherever some gaps will be there, through the gaps the sun rays will come. Yes or no? Through the gaps the sun rays will come. You can see the path of the light. You can see the sun ray. This is because the particles present in the atmosphere, the dust particle, many things, they scatter the light. They scatter the light. Because of this scattering, light will go here and there and it will be visible to your naked eye. Okay. So colloids, you have to listen carefully. Even though the particles are smaller in size, even though the particles are not individually visible to our naked eye, they are big enough to scatter the light. Therefore, the path of the light is visible in a colloid. Therefore, it shows Tyndall effect. So, what is Tyndall effect? The scattering of light by the colloidal particles or by the particles is called as Tyndall effect. Understood or not? So, colloids support or colloid shows the character of Tyndall effect. Okay. So, now we will see the properties of colloids. So, properties number one, you already know. First property, it is a heterogeneous mixture. First property, it is a heterogeneous mixture. Okay. Then, second property, the particles are not visible to our naked eye. The particles are small and they are not visible to our naked eye. So, individually, the particles are not visible, isn't it? The particles are not visible to our naked eye. Number three, though they are not visible, they are big enough to scatter the beam of light. Though the particles are not visible to our eye, they are big enough to scatter the light. Therefore, the path of the light is visible to our eye. The path of the light in a colloidal solution is visible to our eye. Understood? Then fourth one, colloidal solution is stable or not? Colloidal solution is stable or not? See here, after 5 minutes also, there is no settling down. Nothing is settled down. Nothing is settled down. Therefore, colloids are stable. Colloids are quite stable. Okay. So, colloids are quite stable. Okay. So, fourth property, colloids are quite stable because they don't settle down. The particles don't settle down when they left undisturbed. Then last point, fifth point, you can tell. Can you separate the particles by filtration? Please tell. Can you separate the particles by filtration? No. If you try to filter it, you cannot separate the particles. You can separate only by a process called centrifugation. Yes or no? Some of you may know that the process of separating centrifugation, they will do like this. They will use a small device and they will do like this centrifugation, isn't it? So they are not separated by filtration, but they can be separated by a process called centrifugation. Okay, that is used for preparation, for making butter and for taking many valuable products from milk. Yeah, very good. Okay, so the fifth point, they are not separated by using filtration, but they can be separated by using a process called as centrifugation. Centrifugation, I will type that. Centrifugation. Please see the spelling there. Okay, the name is centrifugation. Centrifugation. Yeah. This process is used for making valuable products, butter, ghee, these things from milk. Okay, we are coming towards the closure of this class. I will say a few points related to colloids. So, listen carefully. The 5 properties. Number 1, colloids are Heterogeneous mixture, number one, colloids are heterogeneous mixture. Number two, the particles of colloids are not visible to our naked eye. Number three, though the particles are not visible to our eye, they are big enough to scatter the beam of light. Therefore, the path of light in a colloidal solution is visible. Tyndall effect. Fourth one, they are quite stable. Fifth one, they cannot be separated by filtration, but they can be separated by a process called as centrifugation. Okay, now finally, we are coming towards the closure. So finally, listen carefully. Solution was made up of solvent and solute. Solution made up of solute and solvent. Similarly, in colloid also two things are there. In colloid, please listen carefully. In colloid also two things are there. One is dispersed phase, another one is dispersing medium. Okay, I will type here. One is dispersed phase. Please see that comment section. One is dispersed phase, another one is dispersing medium. You don't need to confuse. Dispersed phase is similar to the solute. Dispersed phase is nothing but it is similar to the solute. Okay. Dispersing medium is nothing, it is similar to solvent. That is, which one is present in more quantity, that is called dispersing medium. Which one is present in less quantity, that is called as dispersed phase. Okay, so you can see a variety of example, not just milk. Okay, if you have book with you, you can see page number 18. If you have textbook with you, in page number 18, there is a list is given. There are variety of colloids are given. Okay, liquid gas, gas, liquid, solid gas. Okay, so many things, shaving cream, face cream, clouds, fog, mist, all these will come under colloid. Okay, this may not come in exam point of view, but it will be good if you go through that. Sometimes in 1 mark question it may come. There is a table, so please study that. There is a table in page number 18. In 1 mark question it may ask, give an example for a liquid gas colloid, or give an example for aerosol type of colloid or foam type of colloid. Okay, so I think that's all. We'll close the class. I'm getting more tired. If you have any more doubt, you can ask in WhatsApp, or you can ask to my personal message. Okay, so with this we'll close today's class. If you have any more doubt, you can ask me in WhatsApp. Okay, so that's all. I am done. I lost my voice also. Okay, Beast Gaming, I will answer you in WhatsApp. Okay, so thank you all for joining the class. And Kriti Arora, thank you for your compliment. Okay, I will meet you in the next class, probably tomorrow or Friday. Sorry, tomorrow is Friday, isn't it? Okay, so most probably tomorrow or Monday. Okay, so thank you all. So have a good day. I request you, please go through this in textbook. Please read this page number 14 to 18. Please read page number 14 to 18 in your textbook. Okay, so thank you all. We'll meet again. Okay. Okay, students, thank you.